Do you have a good UDS? Yeah. All right, so here we are at the closing session. I'm assuming all of you are as tired as we all are. This has been a fantastic event. For me personally, I think this is the best UDS I think we've ever done. So thank you to all of you for joining us. Just before we go on, I just want to say another big thank you to our sponsors, HP, Intel, Google, everybody else. Thank you, everyone, for participating and helping to make UDS happen. I also want to just make a quick special shout out to our, our bosses, Claire, Mariana, Michelle, Claire again. They've done an absolutely fantastic job, so thank you to everybody there. So this closing session is very straightforward. We're going to get each of the track leads to get up, and they're going to summarize the highlights and the key decisions that have been made throughout this fantastic week. We're going to go through them one by one. We were originally going to have everyone stand on the stage at the same time and look uncomfortable, but we're not going to do that anymore. So we're going to go through one by one. So we have a good rule. Last in, first up, Leanne, the new kernel team leader, to summarize.
Afternoon. I'll keep this short and sweet so we can get out of here. Some of the highlights that we talked about in the hardware track this week were we're going to go with the 3.5 kernel version, and then once that comes out, we're going to reevaluate and see if we can target 3.6. Following an LTS release where we're conservative, it'll be approximately a 3 or 4 kernel version jump, so it's rather aggressive for us. So looking forward to that. We had our staple sessions with our kernel delta review, our config review, looking at what new options are coming in, what will be enabled. We're also going to look at collapsing the virtual kernel flavor to reduce some maintenance as we roll forward. Rick's been highlighting about getting into fighting trim, so we want to work on that. Another big topic of a discussion that we went over was providing newer 12.10 packages back into 12.04, and one of those being the 12.10 kernel. So we're looking at providing a rolling upgrade model that we're going to work out as we move forward, also providing a smooth transition and upgrade path for those users running on 12.04 to run the 12.10 kernel. Also providing support for security, and then improved QA and certification testing, looking at doing an automated daily testing dashboard so you can kind of see the health of the kernel in 12.04. And then another final just little topic I want to highlight is that we're also looking to start working on some ARM server kernels, which we're going to pull under development. So thanks.
Okay, next up, Nick Skaggs, first-time track lead of the QA track.
All right. Jonah, I was supposed to go last because that way everyone else could just talk about quality and I wouldn't have to. Let's see. I've got my notes on my phone. We're gonna rock this out. All right. So lots of fun stuff happened with quality this week. Certainly, it was a big piece of last cycle. I was fortunate enough to come in halfway, so I got to kind of ride the wave, and so that was awesome. So one of the things that we sort of focused on was the community. And so we're focusing on growth and recognition and trying not to burn people out. Right now we've got a small core of people who are doing a lot of work, and we definitely want to spread that out and distribute that. And we're happy to give away swag and hardware, those sorts of lots of fun things. So join us. It's going to be a blast. So on that note as well, we want to lower the barrier to entry for testing. So many of you probably ran Precise at some point, maybe even for months or more during the cycle, which was awesome. It's something we're definitely going to continue on going forward. So, for 12.10, it can be a daily driver, more or less, maybe for a non-primary machine. And so, just doing that, we want to sort of enable you to help us with testing. So some of the ideas around that are to sort of put testing in your face. If you install the CD, you might see some pop-ups or that sort of thing to ask you to get involved for testing or to run some test cases and that sort of thing. So lots of good ideas around that sort of front. Let's see. Yes, you saw Gemma's big speech about UAuth. Despite what she said, it does do everything, so we're kind of done. But UAuth will be doing a lot of automated testing, driving lots of really cool things. The QA team will be utilizing Maz in the lab and rocking out some Juju charms and doing lots of really, really cool stuff, as well as hopefully publicizing more and more of that work. We'll be looking at helping to upstream some of those ideas to not only our internal upstreams with things like Unity and other canonical projects, but outside of that as well with GNOME and other things. So good stuff. What else? We talked a little bit about the release process and our metrics and that sort of thing. So that's definitely something we will be looking to improve in the future. We did a much better job this cycle with respins, lowering those, and this cycle we want to sort of keep that up and communicate more together between QA and release as we look to keep the number of respins low and keep the reasons why we respin well communicated and documented. And then for us ISO testers to keep our workload smaller so that we understand what's changed between each ISO so that we're not having to do all that rework. So that's it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Nick. Server and cloud. Round of applause for Antonio.
Hello, I'm Antonio from the server engineering team, and the team remains committed to making Ubuntu Server the best OS for scale-out computing. And along those lines, we want to implement tooling and processes for char maintainers. We'll also be working on the feature parity port of Juju from Python to Go, and improving on the stabilization for the current version of Juju, which is in Python. We'll also be working on the packaging of Hadoop version 2.x, and we'll be clarifying and improving the server bug triage process. We're also ironing out some of the OpenStack support around the Cloud Archive and SRUs to make that a seamless process. Mass will drop Cobbler, and we'll add full ARM support. We'll be implementing Juju release process and the charm store policy. That's very important to keeping the quality in Juju. And we'll be working with the ops code team to get Chef back into Ubuntu, so for all you Chef users out there. And we defined some improvements needed for Ceph, app, LiveVirt, KVM, and AlexC. And so we'll be putting those into the work for Ubuntu in 12.10. And I just want to thank everyone for their time and ideas in the sessions.
Okay, next up is Jamie, who assured us all that this was going to be short at lunch. Security, so important to Ubuntu.
Yeah, like Leanne said, we participated in various discussions surrounding the hardware enablement kernels and XStack and the processes surrounding that so we could provide good support, security support in particular, but just generally the processes so that that's smooth and good for our users. As always, we had several AppArmor sessions, and this was no exception. We talked about testing. We test a lot in AppArmor, and we've got good coverage, but our test suites are pretty old, pretty crafty. So we thought about ways that we could improve that so we could increase our testing velocity and coding velocity, and decided to use Python unit, which maybe doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but within our little AppArmor group it was. Also rewriting our AppArmor tools in Python. A bunch of them got pulled off the server CD because they were Perl. So we're rewriting those. And let's see, have several work items on app isolation, work surrounding dbus AppArmor, and also, of course, LXC and how we can make AppArmor work better there. And then we talked about eCryptFS, improved testing, and how to make it easier to maintain. And of course, attended various sessions where we could provide our unique point of view. That's pretty much it.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, unfortunately, Jason Warner had to take off, so we've got a great replacement. Seb's going to be summarizing the desktop track.
So on the X front, we'll be updating to the current version, the server and the machine drivers versions. We look at using a system compositor for a better experience between like the system start and desktop. So flicker-free boot and hopefully like better multi-monitor support and less flickering on user switching as well. We'll use a Unity greeter from the login to the desktop. It's going to be like fading for a smooth transition from the login to the desktop. We'll use the greeter as a lock screen as well. So should be a better experience for everyone. We are going on the Unity front to look at supporting only 3D this cycle, dropping 2D and using LVM pipe as a fallback for the fallback session as well. We'll get G-setting support in compis, which means we might get gconf out of the CD this cycle. Accessibility is going to be improved, and we'll keep the work on the quality and testing for compis and Unity this cycle. On the GNOME front, we'll get the new version, 3.6, including clutter. We have been like delaying on this until the LTS. Now it's time to get like the nice effect and the new technologies on the CD. We'll rework our control center and system settings to be easier to maintain. And we'll get the upstream version as a vanilla package as well for the GNOME session this cycle. And some community people said they would like to step in to make maybe a Ubuntu GNOME remix, like GNOME Shell by default with corresponding applications this cycle. So that could be a nice move as well. Firefox and Thunderbird will keep with the current versions as we do like every cycle, and get overlay scroll bars as well. On the LibreOffice front, we'll get app menu integration. We'll get work around templates and support for automatic installation of the missing component as well. Networking, we'll finish the IPv6 work, which has been like started this cycle, add proxy support in Network Manager and firewall support as well. On the plumbing front, we'll look at replacing Jockey and the logwatch selector with like better version integrated in the system settings. And we'll keep the focus on quality, auto package tests integration, daily testing of LibreOffice, automatic testing for like Suspend, Multi-Monitor, Nautilus, GVFS, device, and other things. And we'll keep watching boot speed, try to clean all libraries for easier support of the desktop, better deal with user settings and upgrades, and port our desktop application to Python 3 so we can like drop the old version from the CD. And last but like not the least, French is going to be the default for the desktop next cycle.
Vive la France! All right, Steve is up next. He's going to talk about the Foundations track.
So with the LTS behind us, we're looking to shake things up a little bit, but we're going to do it in a good, safe, high-quality way so that we're giving you an earthquake-proof foundation that you all can build on for the next cycle. We are going to be doing a few things aiming high, making some few changes here. We're aiming to ship Python 3 as the only Python on the desktop CD. So with support of Seb and those guys helping with the porting, we expect to get there. So Jamie, I hope your new scripts are in Python 3. All right. We're going to be beefing up Ubiquity so that it can do everything that the alternate CD can, and so we can finally get rid of alternate CDs and just have the one desktop installer, narrowing our focus. We also took a decision to drop Migrate Assistant from the installer. If you're not familiar with Migrate Assistant, that's what gives you Windows settings migrated over to Ubuntu. Unfortunately, I don't know that we know anybody who still runs Windows, so we don't have a good way to test it. So we're not going to be running any unmaintainable, untested software. It's got to go off the CD. If somebody cares about that, talk to us on Ubuntu Devel, and you can pick it up for maintenance, but we're not going to be maintaining it this cycle. We're doing a lot of great work now building on the crash database that was implemented last cycle. Users are now going to be pointed at fixes when they have a specific crash and a fix is known. We will tell them what package they need to download to fix that. And we are also going to be improving the communication channels using this crash database so that developers can get information directly from users and get faster information about what's causing crashes and work with those users, getting Launchpad out of the way as a middleman there, so that as soon as somebody has that crash, we can get information from that user's system quickly and get those fixes rolled out efficiently and agilely. And that's the highlights.
Thanks, Steve. Next, Kate is going to summarize the other track, which gathers together lots of things that don't neatly fit into the existing tracks. Round of applause to Kate.
Thank you. So the stuff that was in the other track pretty much fell into three categories: release, reports and infrastructure, and then some of the team and community meetings. Some of the highlights coming out of the release track, release part of it, was the fact that for 12.04.1, we are going to be shifting the date. We initially had a planned date in July, and we're going to be moving it to August 23rd for that release. In addition, we've also clarified, we did a scrub of the Quantal release and the plans, and have clarified a few dates and are going to add a few more checkpoints into that process. In addition, we spent some time talking about the processes, feedback, and so forth, and have a couple of tweaks and some new experiments. We're going to try to make things even better. In terms of the reports and infrastructure, the big theme there is automate, 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 so we can get the quality up and the touches down. Basically trying to look at ways to smarter get information on how to fix the right bugs and get them into the people we want to see directly. So that's going to be real key, and so we've been looking at things like agents and some of the heuristics to use, and we'll be running out some of those experiments for you guys, hopefully towards the end of the cycle. Other things that we've been looking at are in terms of the maintainerships and some of our reports, and cleaning up some of the arsenal stuff and unifying it across multiple teams. There seems to be a lot of different efforts trying to do the same thing and trying to get that all sort of pulled together a bit more. And then there's some stuff work with the Launchpad guys held a clinic to help people contribute in. And that sort of it was on the release and reports. On the team and community meetings, we had some installer shows updates. The Dell DevOps community had met to do some brainstorming, and there was some tracks talking about Zential being more effective into the Ubuntu ecosystem. And so I would encourage you to check out the various blueprints of those areas that are of interest to you, and that, I think, pretty much summarizes it up, but automate, automate, automate is definitely a key theme here, and getting the quality up. Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Last but not least, it's the community track. Okay, so I'll spin through this as quick as I can. We had an awesome track. I mean, we had a fantastic amount of participation, both in the rooms and from our remote participants as well. Thank you to everyone who came along. And thank you also to our various upstreams and flavors who joined the discussions as well. On the developer side, Daniel's been doing a great job with the developer advisory team. We're going to be building continued improvements there, and we're starting to see people getting through the developer process more easily right now. A lot of discussion about the packaging guide, getting it into the archive, getting it translated, merging in the old wiki docs, and user testing around the guide as well. A lot of discussion about unblocking developers as well, a shared community participation in the sponsorship queue, reviewing our processes and things such as that. And then on the Motu side, continuing the organization of Motu meetings, bringing in further teams to improve community reporting, updating various documentation initiatives, and putting together lists of things that people can do when people participate. Lots of fantastic work on the Juju side with the community, improved governance, maintainership guidelines, sponsorship of charm reviews and what the distribution does. Great work throughout the cycle and discussion at UDS around charm schools and increasing charm schools at events such as OSCOM, Velocity, Surge, Lisa, things like that. Lots of discussion about automated testing in the charm store, stopping bad things happening before they happen, and tied into our review processes. And then there's going to be more Google Plus related Juju content as well. App development was a huge theme here at UDS, and I'm delighted with a lot of the outcomes that came there. David Plenary was leading a lot of the new app development related discussions around we're going to build an external outreach campaign to get people building new apps on Ubuntu and targeting Ubuntu as a platform. Better documentation, we're going to be organizing events such as Hack Weeks, and there's going to be some app developer competitions. And Michael's been working a lot with upstream app developers to get everybody delivering their software in the best form on Ubuntu. Part of this is developer.ubuntu.com. There's going to be some work on building out better support for API documentation on there. So this is going to involve some infrastructure development and then a community project around getting that documentation on there. And then there's going to be another design iteration around developer.ubuntu.com as well. So things are looking good. In terms of how people submit applications, discussion around My Apps and how people can submit, resolving some of the bugs there for the ARB, reviving the App Developer Week, the app development competitions that I mentioned, and upstream is a generous way of describing it, but EA was a huge event this week as well, and we've seen a tremendous response there. A lot of work went into promoting that and getting people to download and enjoy their games. We've also seen lots of discussion around Unity, the visual and interactive documentation of how people can participate. Michael Hall has done a great job in building docs and guidance around how people can build support for Unity into their applications, things such as Hello Unity. And then discussion around the Ubuntu TV, kicking off community contributions, porting the demo code from Unity 2D so people can work on it in 3D, and then people are starting to write lenses and other content ready for the TV. The accessibility team have been working and some would argue pestering the other development teams to consider accessibility earlier in the development cycle. On the Ubuntu Women's side, there's been discussion around the career days and IRC workshops. Jane and Amber have participated in these, on working with groups such as OpenHatch to collaborate around further contributions, and then raising the visibility of the project itself. So things are looking good there. A few final things. Governance. A lot of discussion about the App Review Board this week. Everybody in those discussions was contributing so much. It was fantastic. PackageMe is going to be used as a fundamental piece in packaging software around the ARB. And there was discussions about tying that into quickly. How applications can be tested more effectively, some improvements to the App Review, the My Apps queue, and basically feeding everything in the ARB's queue through PackageMe, so all of the fixes there can benefit the wider packaging story in Ubuntu. We also had a fantastic session earlier on this afternoon about instrumentation in the community, so we can just build a better Ubuntu experience for everybody. But that experience starts with our upstreams. And then finally, an important part of UDS is our flavors. We're all delighted to see that Kubuntu is going to continue to be called Kubuntu, and great discussions there with the Kubuntu team. Kubuntu are going to be having LightDM as default, web accounts integration, own cloud integration. They're going to be making some changes to the ISO images, dropping the large DVD, moving the desktop to 1 gig. And Czar Reason provided some tablets for the Kubuntu team. And they're working to get Kubuntu Active working on there as well. And then finally, Edubuntu. Jonathan posted a great post, I think it was today or yesterday. They're going to be continuing to build a fantastic distribution there. They're reviewing the list of installed apps, highlighting educational apps in the software center, optimizing how some of the language packs are shipped, charming the hell out of educational apps on the web, various artwork fixes, and of course, they announced Edubuntu Labs. So thank you to everyone who came on that track as well. Okay, so to wrap us up, I'm going to present Rick Spencer, the Director of Ubuntu Engineering, to put some thoughts in your head for the next cycle.
Yeah. Bonsoir. Je suis Monsieur Spencer, le directeur d'ingénieur. All right, seriously, this was a really great UDS. I spent a lot of time floating between the tracks, and I want to thank the track leads. They really, every single one of them just knocked the cover off the ball in this one and had awesome tracks. So I spent a lot of time watching the tracks, and it was a real privilege to see how people were working and then see the themes for the release emerging and how people are thinking about the next release. And I saw kind of 3 distro-level themes pop up. And I thought these would be really useful to talk about so that we can make sure that we maintain the focus on these themes. The first one was really interesting. I've never been at a UDS where we talk so much about the stable release before. But I think everyone is really happy with the way 1204 went, and we know that people are going to be adopting it and adopting it for a long time, and we really want to make it count. And so there were some good sessions on things like paying close attention to errors.ubuntu.com, make sure that we're fixing the crashers. Apparently we having very different data coming out of errors.ubuntu.com than we've had in Launchpad in the past. So the product's 1204 is rapidly getting better. There's going to be a dedicated 1204.1 team, so a small subset of people focus on making sure that we do that really in style. And then there was a lot of good discussion on maintaining those interim kernels so that you can stick on 1204 and get hardware enablement packs going forward, and there was a lot to suss. So I think there'll be a lot of knock-on work focused on 1204 coming up. The next one that I thought was really interesting was teams really talking about how they can concentrate their efforts so that the things that they do, the teams can make sure that they do those to just the utmost quality. So people were, maybe deciding not to do certain things so that they could reserve their effort to do the things that they were doing really well. And I think this is really healthy, and we want to embrace this. There was like some good examples coming out of this was finishing the work so that we can cut back to having only one desktop image. This means we can concentrate all of our QA efforts, all of our validation efforts, all of our user experience work, all our design, usability, everything on that one image. I think Python 3 only on that image is another example of that. And then there was a great session on next steps to finishing the archive reorg. I think we might be getting close there. And this is going to be really useful for helping teams and flavors define their focus in a actually pretty agile way without interfering with and stepping on each other. So this concentrating our efforts, I think we'll see more convergence over the next cycle on that. And finally, I forget who came up with it, but somebody mentioned really quality is a journey. It's not somewhere that we end up, that we're just every day taking the quality journey. And you could just hear in the session recaps today how much that meme has taken hold in us, and that we're going to continue that journey every day. So for instance, some of the things, it's not all just testing. We have a better schedule for the +1 maintenance team, so we'll be able to really keep the archive in really great shape during the whole development release so that your development will have more velocity. You'll be able to have more quality and get your features done faster. I think the move to start upstream, testing upstream and working with upstreams to test their code on a daily basis is a really interesting move. And I think it's going to be really beneficial. I think LibreOffice was a good choice. I commend the desktop team on that because I think they have tests already. They're a big project. If we can crack that LibreOffice nut and then be able to give them feedback as they are building, it'll make LibreOffice better, which will make Ubuntu better. I think that's going to be a great contribution. I'm really looking forward to the daily mass and Juju scaling. The QA team has a secret plan, which I guess was secret until about 10 seconds ago, to, on a daily basis, spin up hundreds, if not thousands of images and test every day whether Juju can successfully address those images. And then finally, just the commitment to daily quality. So every day, make the development release work. We're just going to keep every day the development release will work. And it worked great last time, and I was really excited to see people want to keep that up. So I think these are the 3 things to look out for. We'll make 1204 count, concentrate our efforts, and can take the next steps in our quality journey. And on that note, I think we should reconvene at 7 o'clock at the party right over there.